Esto es México, Tulum, Quintana Roo.
I've been doing the pottery together, my wife and I, about 25 years. Different times of the season, I remember, just being there with my grandfolks and my great grandmother, and just they would be talking about the seasons, and then where they traveled when they did pottery, and the dances that took place here at the Pueblo, and they would be saying, "Oh, this is the time to do this. Next season, this is the time this dance is up." And I mean, it was an ongoing cycle each year. They reminded me, this goes here, this goes there, and I think it just that connection with the elders, drew me to not only the pottery but to the cultural aspects of the Pueblo life, and the temper, and it is like clay. A mixture of this makes a bond. I think just growing up with the dirt and trying to form different things since you're a young kid. It's a lot of fun growing up in the Pueblo. I grew up there in the village. A lot of them know the history of the pottery, or they'll come up and say, "You must be a relative of Maria." And a lot of them will say, "We knew her, and she was very kind to us and helped us." This one here is the red slip for the polishing here. Comes in a rock form, but when you put it in water, it dissolves into a silky paint. So when I meet customers in Santa Fe, whether it's the Palace of the Governor's Portal or the Indian Market, I tell the people that we mix our own clay. So this is the process right here. What I'm doing is mixing our own clay. So we tell them that it's not pre-processed. We tell them the procedures, and that makes it special. I still remember the days going out in the fields and gathering the materials with my grandfather. Sometimes we would get the truck and a little bit of sand there and get stuck, and we would be looking for somebody to help us pull us out of the arroyo. And one time I told my grandfather, "Let me drive out. I think I can drive it out of the sand." And he said, "No." Growing up, I watched my grandfolks work on pottery, and then they allowed me to touch clay and start forming the pot. And then in the beginning, I would play with the clay. They would get after me, and then sometimes I remember touching the tools, the gourds. One time I was testing the durability of it, and I broke one. And for a while, I stayed away, and then slowly they let you get back into it. And I'll be scraping the pottery, and the pot is almost dry, but not quite. And what I do is clean it up, give it a little detail before the actual drying, so that way I can prepare it for sandpapering. That would be the next step that I do once the pot is made, and then it's dried. As it dries, we go over it again to scrape it with the tools that I have here. These are lids that I use from the and then this are the knives that I use to scrape. What I'm going to be doing now is This is the dry pottery from after it's been after the scraping and the drying. The next step is to sandpaper the pottery. And Maria and Julian found that when Julian worked with the Museum of New Mexico, when he saw the archaeologists using sandpaper to sand the screen doors, the wood, or sort of things like that, and so he found it to use it on the pottery, which made it smooth and more perfecting the shape. So they gradually, Maria and Julian adapted using sandpaper. So this is the natural red iron oxide that I used for designing the pottery to slip, and this was painted onto the burnished pottery. You have to add water to the normal consistency because you want it a little bit more to apply it with the even strokes and texture. Sometimes they'll come out a little thick, but what we do is just add a little water. The most traditional ones are the eagle feather and the avanyu. The avanyu is the water serpent, the rain serpent. Prayer for rain and water, and it was revised by my great grandfather. Cow chips we use is for a source of insulation and heat, and that will provide the fire, and then also the insulation of the pottery, and then also the horse manure will be smothered on top of that. When it turns red hot, we smother the horse manure. The horse manure has to be grounded, dried, and when we pour it over the fire, it will oxidize the pottery to the black. And so with a stick, I'll be poking the horse manure into the cracks, into the bed of charcoal. At the same time, the cow manure, the cow patties will help burn the horse manure also in the process. So from then we keep it covered till the end of the fire. Maria started coming to the Indian market. The first one was probably held in 1922. My grandfather and grandmother attended the Indian market probably in the 50s, 60s, on up all the way to the 80s. Yes, my grandfolks, they used to come here in their 70s, and when I was a young boy, we used to come up here early mornings, and they would set up. And we've been coming here about maybe 10 years now, and I think we took our time.
Esto es México, el estado de Sonora.